The table slid 6 inches on its own, the candles guttered backward, and Tyler's voice came out of his mouth in a tone that didn't belong to anyone living. "You shouldn't have called me," it said, calm, cold, like breath on a freezer door. His pupils had shrunk to pinheads. His grip wouldn't loosen. Both hands were locked around the pale ceramic hand in the center of the basement table. "Drop it, Ty." "Let go!" Brooks shouted, but he didn't blink. The room smelled like old rain and pennies. The phone timer blared past 90 seconds. Jonah reached for Tyler's wrist and yelped like he'd touched a stove. I stood frozen, thinking of the rule we promised to keep: never go over a minute. Never invite it to stay. Tyler smiled with someone else's smile, then, with a soft pop, like a cork, his fingers sprang open. He collapsed into the beanbag chair, gasping, pupils normal again. "I'm fine," he whispered, though no one had asked. The house above us creaked, slow and deliberate, as if something heavy had just moved from one room to another. 2 nights earlier, none of this had felt real. In Cedar Ridge, New Jersey, thrills usually meant a late movie and a milkshake at Dixon's Diner. I'm Maya, the one who says no until someone else says yes. We'd heard whispers about the hand from seniors who swore it was passed around from party to party. Some said it used to be a real hand, trapped under glaze. Others said it was made by a church youth pastor gone bad. Everyone agreed on the rules: hold it tight, ask to speak, end it at 60. If you go longer, it isn't a visit. It's a move-in. We found it in an antique mall off Route 9, half hidden behind cracked picture frames. The shop owner didn't look surprised when I set it on the counter. "Careful what you open," she said, like she was reminding me to bring a sweater. We laughed about it in the car, because the sun was bright and no fee. "Ing bad happens at noon." Tyler wanted to be first because Tyler always wants to be first. In Jonah's parents' basement, we made a circle. Brooks set her phone timer. I read the words scrawled in faded ink around the base: "Speak if you dare." When Tyler gripped the hand, his breath misted in the air, though the basement wasn't cold. "Talk to," he caught himself, grinning. "Speak to me." At once, the light shifted. The corners of the room leaned closer. Tyler's mouth parted. "Hi," he said, like he'd recognized an old friend. He described a hallway with wet footprints and a woman humming a tune none of us knew. He laughed at something only he heard. We shouted for him to stop. The timer hit 60. We kept shouting. He didn't. Now, after, he drank water with shaking hands. "It's like being underwater with your eyes open," he said. It felt curious. Not mean. The house creaked again upstairs, a slow crossing. Brooks swallowed. "Did you close it?" Tyler stared at the ceramic hand on the table. "I think it closed itself." From the laundry room doorway, a humming began, soft, familiar, exactly the tune Tyler described. And then the doorknob started to turn. The basement stairs creaked slowly, one deliberate step at a time, as if someone unseen was descending to join them. The teenagers froze in place, the sound of water dripping from the laundry room mixing with the faint, persistent humming. Tyler's eyes darted toward the staircase, his breath shallow and uneven, but when the final step was reached, nothing appeared. The empty staircase gaped back at them, shadows stretching into the ceiling. Then, all at once, the humming stopped. The silence that followed was worse, heavy, pressing, as though the air itself had thickened. They didn't wait. Brooke snatched up her backpack, Jonah cursed under his breath, and together they fled into the storm outside. Rain lashed the street, turning the neighborhood into a blur of water and orange streetlights. None of them spoke until they were safely in Jonah's car, the windshield wipers clapping back and forth. Finally, Brooke whispered, "It was in here with us." Her knuckles were white around the strap of her bag. I felt it. Watching. Jonah gripped the wheel so tight his arms shook. We shouldn't have gone past the minute. We broke the rule. Tyler stared straight ahead, face pale as the lightning that flashed across the sky. "It doesn't matter anymore," he muttered. "It's already following us." The others turned to him, unsettled. Tyler wasn't joking. His voice was flat, certain, like he was just repeating something he already knew. By morning, the story should have felt distant, like a nightmare smoothed away by daylight. But it lingered. Megan, who had been the first to hear about the cursed hand, woke to a noise in her house, a low, familiar humming drifting down the hallway. She pressed her palms to her ears, but it grew louder, as though it was inside her head. When she flung open her bedroom door, the hallway was empty. Only the family's grandfather clock ticked steadily. Why, the sound swallowed by the storm still raging outside. That afternoon, they regrouped at the antique mall, desperate to return the hand. But the store was locked tight, its windows covered from the inside with newspaper that hadn't been there before. On the door hung a single sign, scrawled in red marker, closed until further notice, yet, behind the glass, they could all see it, the ceramic hand, perched neatly on the counter, palm facing outward as if beckoning them to come back. Brooke shivered. It doesn't want to be left alone. Tyler stepped forward, pressing his palm against the glass. His reflection in the window didn't quite move in sync, it smiled before he did, and in that moment, the humming returned, faint but clear, curling out of the cracks in the door. The humming bled into the parking lot as though the air itself carried it. They backed away from the antique shop, hearts pounding, rain soaking through their jackets. Jonah fumbled with his keys, muttering that they needed to leave, just drive, get as far away as possible. But when the car doors slammed shut and the engine roared to life, the sound didn't fade. It grew louder, vibrating through the dashboard, thrumming in their bones. Megan pressed her hands over her ears. "It's in here," she gasped. Jonah swerved the car onto the road, tires hissing against the wet pavement. Street after street blurred past, yet the humming followed, steady and patient. When the car finally rolled to a stop in front of Tyler's house, silence dropped like a curtain. For the first time that day, the noise was gone. They filed into the house reluctantly. The basement, where it all began, smelled damp and metallic, though no one had been down there since the night of the ritual. The hand still sat on the table, waiting, as though it had never left. Brooke's voice trembled. "It wasn't even in the shop. It's been here the whole time." Tyler's eyes glazed over, fixed on the ceramic palm. He stepped closer, lips parting as though he was about to speak to it. Jonah grabbed his shoulder. "Don't touch it." But Tyler didn't listen. He reached down, wrapping his fingers around the stiff, frozen hand. The room dimmed instantly, the overhead light flickering until it buzzed out. In the glow of their phones, his pupils swallowed his eyes, black and endless. A voice spilled from his throat, not his own, low, soft, almost gentle. "He drowned in the lake. I only wanted him back." The words chilled them. Brooke stumbled back, shaking her head. "It's her," she whispered. "The woman in the photo. The one who used to hum." Tyler's face contorted as if he was struggling against the force inside him. His jaw clenched, his neck muscles straining. "She's looking for someone," he growled. "And she won't leave until she finds them." Megan darted forward, trying to pry the ceramic hand away. The instant her skin brushed its cold surface, she felt something inside her head, a wave of memories that weren't hers. A child running barefoot across grass, a lullaby hummed at dusk, the sudden splash of water, then silence. She stumbled back with a cry. Jonah yanked Tyler's wrist free, breaking his grip. Tyler collapsed to the floor, coughing violently. The hand clattered onto the table, fingers frozen in their eternal curl. For a long, awful moment, no one spoke. Then Megan whispered what they were all thinking. "We have to finish this. We have to close it the right way." Jonah shook his head, face pale. "What if closing it just traps us with her?" The house groaned above them, every beam stretching like tired lungs. A faint dripping started again, though there was no rain inside. And from the top of the stairs came a new sound, small, wet footsteps, padding slowly down toward the basement. The footsteps paused halfway down the basement stairs, each drop of water pattering onto the wood like the ticking of a clock. The teenagers clung together in the dim light, their eyes fixed on the shadows gathering at the top step. The humming returned, low, melodic, and unbearably sad. It wasn't coming from any of them. It was coming from the darkness itself. The air turned icy. Their breath fogged before their faces. Tyler's body trembled as if pulled forward by invisible strings. "She's here," he whispered. "She's been waiting for us." Megan stepped between him and the stairs, her voice shaking. "What do you want from us?" The humming stopped. Silence pressed against their ears until it hurt. Then, slowly, the ceramic hand on the table shifted. No one had touched it, yet its rigid fingers flexed, just once, enough to prove it was alive. Jonah swore under his breath. "We have to end this now." Brooke nodded, though her face was pale as chalk. She reached out and grabbed the hand. The air thundered in response, the basement door slamming shut above them. Her voice came out strangled, layered with another's. "He drowned," she said. "I can't find him. Help me." Her eyes rolled back, showing only white. The others tried to pry her free, but her grip was stronger than anything human. The walls of the basement groaned and bulged, shadows stretching long and thin like fingers. Megan's heart pounded. She remembered the words written on the base, "Speak if you dare." That was the call. But maybe there was also a way to send something back. She leaned in close, shouting over the roar in her ears. "He's gone! You have to let go. You can't keep searching here." For a moment, everything froze. The shadows stilled. Brooke's chest heaved as if drowning. Then, from her lips, came a faint, broken humming, soft, almost grateful. The ceramic hand loosened in her grip. Brooke called. Apps to the ground, gasping, "Free at last!" The hand sat motionless again, its stiff fingers frozen in their eternal curl. The air warmed, and the oppressive weight lifted. They thought it was over, but when Tyler glanced up, he froze. The reflection in the dark basement window stared back at them, not their faces, but the woman from the photograph. Her lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Slowly, she raised her hand in a wave, her reflection clutching the same ceramic hand they thought they had left on the table. The humming drifted back, softer than ever, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once, and then the lights went out.